Hello everyone, Dr. Kellie Cassidy here, clinical psychologist and owner at Cassidy Psychology in Mount Pleasant and Canning Vale. Today I want to offer my views and ideas on the game Fortnite. I'm sure for most people they would be aware of this game. It's pretty much a worldwide phenomenon at the moment, and even people who don't traditionally play video games seem to be playing this game at the moment, or at least have some sort of awareness of it. But for those of you that don't know, it is a free game. It's available on lots of different platforms, whether it's your PC or your iPad or your Xbox or PlayStation. So it's widely available, and its free element makes it really accessible to lots of people. It is a shooting game, but it's presented in a more cartoonish style, I guess you would say, and it has a low level of violence to it. Whilst I mention it's a shooting game, there are lots of pros to Fortnite. It has a social element to it. You can play in squads and you can meet up with your friends and be talking as you're playing and interacting. So there's that element to it. It's got a lot of creativity to it in terms of the things that you can do within the game. Obviously, with any video game, it helps to develop your visuospatial skills. And also, I guess the other thing about it is that it is time limited. From what I understand of it, on average a game lasts for a maximum of 20 minutes. So whilst children might be playing it, there is a way to limit that. Personally, I'd probably like it to also have a pause button to the game, but that's not possible within this style of game. So there's lots of good things about this, and I should, I guess, up front say I do let my own 10-year-old play this game. It's something that I considered, but there are some downsides to it. First and foremost, I want to acknowledge that the American Academy of Pediatrics, in their guidelines and statements, say that no child under the age of 18 should be playing any game that involves killing humans, and Fortnite does that. Even though it is in that cartoon style, their stance would be, well, any form of violence where you're killing another human really has the potential to desensitize people to violence and not quite understand what that's all about. I don't know that I necessarily agree with that, and I think at the end of the day it comes down to your own child and what they're like, and that's something that you've got to weigh up. It's something that I certainly considered with my son when I thought about letting him play this, was how much violence is involved and what sort of element is there to it. So it's something to certainly consider. I guess also within this isn't specific to Fortnite itself, but considering the other impact of video games, particularly when there's the potential for people to get obsessed by them. And that is something that seems to be happening as well with this game. But we need to be thinking about our kids' social development in other ways, their physical activity, the impact that it might be having on their sleep and other aspects of their life. And that's something that's really important to consider within this. So I think whether it's Fortnite or whether it's any other video game, the things that are really important is more about how you set up your child's access and use to that device and those games. I would be, with any game that my children wanted to play, I'd be asking, is that an appropriate game? I go on to a website called Common Sense Media and I find out information about that game, or I might even play it myself to find out whether I think it's going to be appropriate for them. And in doing so, I'm weighing up their developmental level and their age and all those sorts of things when I would consider things being appropriate. The next thing I would suggest people do is think about, well, am I okay with the content of that game? Am I okay with the objective of the game? And does that fit with what matters to me and my values around that and what I want my children to learn? And asking that question I mentioned earlier of, do I think my child can cope with this? Do they understand the difference between things that are real and in real life versus things that are on a screen? And is it likely to cross over? Could they manage that? And then you really want to look at those more structured limits as well around time and access. You know, are you going to limit it in that way? For instance, with regards to Fortnite, you might allow children to play one game of it. It's only 20 minutes, and that fits within the guidelines about what we know is recommended for children spending time on screens. And I guess the other one to consider is where they're playing and who they're interacting with, remembering that Fortnite, the game, does have that social element to it, and children need to have that cyber safety awareness as well and be thinking about that. I guess the other thing I would also suggest, if you're going to let your children play a game like this, is where they're playing. You know, having it out in a more public area of the house rather than hiding away in their bedroom, so that you can be monitoring what's going on as they're playing, or even sitting down and playing with them, asking them some questions about it, and just checking that what's going on's okay. So they're the sorts of things that I would suggest if you're going to let your child play a game like Fortnite, that you might want to consider before you say it's okay for them to play it. And for that matter, any other game that they might be considering playing. Okay, so I hope that's helpful and gives you a few tips and things to think about in terms of your children's video game use. That's all for me today. As always, here at Cassidy Psychology, we're working together with you to help you flourish and thrive. I will look forward to coming with you again next week, and bye for now.